What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition. It's been a minute. My apologies. If you guys are watching this because you saw my story, you know that I did not want to miss 2 weeks in a row, but the universe works the way it works.
Had different plans.
Yeah, the universe had different plans. But yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. My aunt passed away, which was very difficult.
Super condolences.
My condolences, man.
Super condolences. His condolences are wearing a Superman cape.
That's right.
And instead of an S, it's a C.
Go for it. I'm down for all these shenanigans.
Yeah, I know.
I've been too far.
No, it's been really rough, and it was just really sad. It was like Wednesday, and bless my family, but just the way I found out was such an unfortunate way, because it was like it was just like blah 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 has passed, but I didn't see it in the group chat. I saw it as a notification on my phone because I opened my phone to fix something, and it was just a notification at the top of my phone, and I was like, well, that's not how I wanted to find this out. Yeah. And it was the second time a family member had done something like that with someone passing, and I was like, can the older generation learn to not text like that, please?
Or make it like a voice message so that you could click it on, and then
please
at least
call me. Please, for the love of God, call me.
To be fair, at least I didn't put a set of emojis at the end of it.
You put dirt in a shovel or something like that.
skull face.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Tombstone, shovel. It's not egregious like that. I do get it. I do get you prefer a call. But
I think it also depends who's doing it, because if it's the closest family member, they're not gonna maybe want to be on the phone because they don't want to be like super crying, right?
No, and that's fair. I understand that it was also very difficult for my aunt, because my aunt is the one that had to let me know that her sister had passed. So I get that. It's just finding out the way I found out was so traumatizing, because I was on the phone with my friend, and the call wasn't like, I had Bluetooth headphones on because I was doing stuff in the office. And because the Bluetooth was like cutting out, I went to my phone to try and fix the Bluetooth. And as I'm trying to fix the Bluetooth, I look at my phone, and the top message on the notification is, blah, blah, blah has passed away. And I'm just like, that's
like genuinely a little bit of a phobia of mine, to be like midway of doing something and someone's just like flagging you over to tell you like some of the worst possible news, and you're like, bye, person.
Yeah. So it was rough, but I'm going to the funeral tomorrow. Well, the funeral's this weekend, so I'm traveling for the funeral because it's out west, and that just feels weird because I don't usually travel in general. So traveling like for a funeral just feels so sad, because I wish I was traveling for like a better reason. I wish I was getting to be like but at the same time, there's that weird silver lining of like, oh, me and all my cousins are going to be together for like the first time in so many years. And although this is the sad part, is we're only being brought together by this moment, I am looking forward to spending time with my family.
Yeah, so. But you could also turn it into like, a celebration instead, right?
Like, well, yeah, I mean, in our community, it's a going home. It's not a, so, I am looking forward to being there and celebrating the going home.
And that's also a tough part too, where, I remember the last time I had like a family reunion on my mom's side. We're all doing the prayer at the dinner table, and my aunt says, thank goodness we're all here to see each other, and it's not for a funeral.
Right.
Right. So that's one of those, small wins, those small victories you can kind of get here and there.
Yeah, my cousin from New York is going to be there, and him and I were talking, and he's like, "Oh, when was the last time you were out west?" And I was just like, "I think when I went with you when you were a kid." He's just like, "Yeah, that was 20 something years ago for me." And I was like, "Yeah, I was 15 and I'm 41." He's just like, "Damn, old man." And I was just like, "Yeah." So it's like, yeah, I haven't been out there since I was 15. I'm literally 41. That's like such a crazy. The city is gonna look completely different to me based on what everyone's telling me. So, and even
that's fun.
Yeah. Even he was saying like, yeah, I heard the city limits out there have expanded like every year for like 5 years, and I was like, yeah, that's fair. Anyways, I brought this up early because obviously me dealing with loss, but also this has been one of the like craziest weeks and I almost feel like September is just going hard with who it's taking. But we had Frankie Beverly passed away, the singer. We had Peter Renata passed away, the voice of Splinter from the original TMNT cartoon back in the day. We
had G1 Grapple, if I remember right.
We had John Cassaday pass away. He was the artist on Joss Whedon's Astonishing X-Men. We had the anniversary of Chadwick Boseman's death in August. That we were actually supposed to do an episode that week. We replayed our review of Wakanda Forever, which was Ness's first time on the podcast. So if you guys didn't have a chance to watch that, you can always go check out that episode. But we played that on the anniversary of his passing. And then this week also, James Earl Jones, the voice of a generation.
100%.
Like Star Wars.
Was he your dad in some show? You probably cried.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Mufasa. Countless Simpsons moments.
Just so many
Darth
things.
Vader.
Yeah, that's the first one I said. Darth Vader.
He was a dad too.
If you're one
Vader is literally father, so that's a crazy part.
His thing is I am a father. So I mean, he is all of our fathers. But
it's the voice of CNN
for
a very long time.
If you like the movie The Sandlot, he's the guy with the crazy scary dog.
Right.
He has a lot of random.
And if you build it, they'll come.
Yeah,
I think he was Field of Dreams, right?
Yeah, I believe it's Field of Dreams.
You guys would be telling me. I haven't watched a Kevin Costner movie in like 15 years.
And some of them are so random that you forget about them.
Sorry, Costner.
Like one of my friends showed me a thing where he did a thing with Robin Williams. Like in Robin Williams' last movie, he was like the angriest person on the world. I think that's like something. The name is very similar to that.
Okay.
And they have an interaction, and you're like, that's intense. So he's basically Robin Williams is trying to get a phone, a camera in a store, and James Earl Jones he's the owner, but he has a stutter.
Okay.
So he's like trying to say, I need a camera, and he's like, do you want like the two brands were like with an F, right? So he's like, and then he eventually says it,
right?
And then Robin Williams, because he's the angriest person in the world, like after he's gotten to the point of annoyed, he's like, which one do you prefer? Give a preference, and he's like,
don't swear,
and he swears.
Okay,
and he swears. I was like, and then
I saw it coming, and I was like, don't do it. It's still early.
I have 3 more minutes.
It's still early in the show.
We're not the king of Zamunda.
Yes.
He's been a king.
Wow. He's been a king so many times, and I genuinely think,
King Lear.
Yeah, we talk so much. I'll reference this because it's not what I'm going to talk about anymore this week, because it was what I wanted to talk about a couple weeks ago. But I still want to mention it. Hollywood Black, which is a Justin Simien docuseries on Netflix that talks about the importance of Black culture in Hollywood and film, and they talk so much about Poitier and Robinson and Denzel. And funny enough, I felt like they didn't mention James Earl Jones enough. Like, I remember thinking when they were talking about all these people, they talk about Spike, they talk about they talk about Tyler Perry, they talk about everyone. They talk about Issa Rae, they talk with Issa Rae.
Do they mention Pryor?
They talk about Pryor. They talk about the importance of Pryor in comedy. They talk about Eddie in comedy. They talk about all these people, and then I'm thinking, like, I'm watching it, and I'm like, and they talk so much about Sidney Poitier, and I'm there wondering, I'm like, I wonder why James Earl Jones is not getting mentioned as much. They do talk about him, but they definitely didn't give him as much screen time, and I'm wondering if it's just because they didn't have as many. I guess some of the projects he worked on didn't have the same influence as some of the other things had.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
a bold statement when you think of Star Wars, though.
No, but they're not going to talk about Star Wars. Star Wars isn't a black story. Like,
but it could also have been because he's more of a voice, right?
Yeah, but that's the
No,
thing.
I
He's
like
done tons of performances.
I'm not saying not.
he's been a stage actor. I think
Right.
I guess maybe because he's more of a stage actor and not much of or, I don't know.
Maybe.
It's
Okay.
I mean Tulsa Doom. Come on. I mean it's hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. Like
No, I get it, but I'm telling you, if you
yeah,
watch
yeah.
the
I
series,
understand. No, I
you will
understand. But I'm just
see
like thinking of other stuff now.
they cover so many black actors, and they go all the way back to like 1900 something. They talk about the fact that the first the first person on film is a black jockey riding a horse.
Yeah.
That's about the
Mm.
first
That comes up in
thing.
Nope.
Yeah, the first thing
Oh,
you ever
right.
saw on film filmed was a black man. We did
Yeah.
that. It's us. That's it. You can't take that away. You can never change it. The first
Mhm.
publicly seen, released footage filmed was a black man riding a horse. We were there from jump. So, watching that Hollywood Black series is so interesting because they talk about black exploitation, and they talk about how black exploitation became black exploitation, and how every time the black community and the culture started to do something in film, the powers that be would clamp onto it and be like, cool, you guys are making money with this. We're going to do the same thing over here. And then, they would bastardize it, but they still made it. They talk about Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society and all those films. And then they talk about how Hollywood turned around and started making kind of these similar stories with black leads, but not from the necessarily from black writers and stuff like that, or how it becomes a parody, but at least we were making a parody of it with like the Wayans and stuff, or Robert Townsend and stuff.
The first types of parodies?
I would say probably because
definitely
One of
don't
them,
do
yeah.
this, or like Pootie Tang or something like that.
Oh, sir,
even
for
parody
the
like
minstrel shows
Airplane?
was white people trying to be black.
Blazing Saddles.
That's Mel
Yeah,
Brooks.
but it's a lead. But the lead
Yeah,
actor is black, right?
Yeah, black lead.
Originally, it was supposed to be Richard Pryor playing that role.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
With Gene.
Yeah, it was
that
a
makes
joint. It was
sense.
both of them working on it, and then I think Richard had to drop out
Yeah.
Yeah, because weren't they?
Great
they were
film,
cool.
though.
They were
Great
cool
film.
with each
because he usually works with what's Gene Wilder? Yeah,
Yeah, Gene
Richard
Wilder.
usually works with Gene Wilder, if anything.
Who everyone thinks is somehow related to the dude from The Bear. People are
Yeah.
convinced that
Yeah, I
He
could see
kind of
that.
looks like
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like
Yeah.
it's his son.
Yes, people, they're like, I don't know if you guys see those ads when you're on social media sites or anything, and there's those little fake ads at the bottom of like, you'll never believe who's related to who, and it's like a picture of Gene Wilder and what's homie's from The Bear's name? How am I forgetting his name?
forgot.
Jesse White. No,
If you were about to
Jeremy-
say Jesse Wilder,
no,
I
no.
would have died of laughter.
No.
Jeremy Allen?
Jeremy Allen White. Bong.
Yeah,
okay,
it's Allen White.
but it could be Jeremy Allen Wilder for all we know. Anyways, jokes aside.
Oh, just to wrap up with James Earl Jones, I remember seeing an article saying, I guess Denzel was saying like James Earl Jones had the career that I want or that I'm trying to have, kind of thing. So like, I know it was Shakespeare in the Park in what was it in Central Park, and it was James Earl Jones playing King Lear, and now Denzel Washington played King Lear like a few years ago.
Right. And he's doing another play right now, another Shakespearean play.
There was also Fences. James Earl Jones played the same character that Denzel played in the movie he directed.
Yeah. So those are huge losses in film and stage. Thank you, actually, Jaws. Very valid point. Those are huge losses for us, and not just for the Black community, just in general.
Yeah.
I know I'm talking about Hollywood Black and Justin Simien's series, but I think if you just look at film and stage in general, you would feel the loss of those gigantic feet, those big shoes of the like towering, powerful man that was James Earl Jones. So we send our condolences to him and his family, and it's he as I said, as I titled the episode already, gone but not forgotten. So
check him out on what was it, Will and Grace, playing himself doing an impression of what's his name, Jerry Lewis.
If you have a chance, I would say go wild, go on your favorite, go on Letterboxd or on Serialized, and just look up James Earl Jones and just watch. They'll just have the list of all the different movies or TV shows that they've been in, and just make yourself a list and burn through it, man. Because
one entertaining guest spot he did was also on Big Bang, only because again he was playing himself.
oh yeah,
But he completely leaned into being a nerd, and that was what was great about it. He was showing his nerdy side through the show.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Well, on that unfortunate sad note, we do have other news. Blade and Armor Wars now in danger of cancellation. These are reports that are coming from reliable sources in the Marvel universe, Marvel reporting world, and supposedly we're going to find out very soon if either of those projects will make it to film. What's up, Joss?
I was gonna say, don't they have to have episodes to be canceled?
Well, I mean,
no, those
they're
are
Well, it's in production.
Yeah, they're in production.
Okay, just axing it, just straight.
Yeah, they're both in pre-production and have been in pre-production for a very long time.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy to decide to throw out the whole project,
I don't
especially
understand
because,
though what's going on.
well, with Blade we kind of do. With Blade, we've heard the stories.
It's been cursed. That's
Yeah.
what it is, and they're trying to do something that they're trying.
We heard the
I'm gonna
story,
say
but,
they're trying to crow that thing. That's a preview for something I'm going to hate on later, but it's because it's not a Blade movie. It's they're trying to make something else. Why?
Well, they were. So that was the thing, right? The
Yeah.
rumors were that there was multiple different versions of the script. There was one script that focused on Blade. There was another script that focused on 3 women, and Blade was going to be kind of a
Right.
secondary character in his own
They're trying
film.
to make it inclusive.
Right. And people were just like, but that doesn't even make sense to write a story of Blade film where he's not the lead. If it's going to be his first movie, he has to be. You don't need to give us his origin story, but you have to make him the lead in the
But he
film.
doesn't. There's no.
what?
He doesn't have a supporting cast as Blade. What
I know, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's usually I mean, in the newer versions with Wesley Snipes, because we don't pay attention to the comics really.
Hey, whoa, I do.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna make Blade blaxploitation Blade. You're they really
No, you
scrapped
don't
the
have to
crap
go
out of
that far back, but I
But
think you
the
could do some of the
closest-
more recent stuff.
There's him.
I
and
feel like the
Whistler.
closest you're gonna get is to '90s Spider-Man, because they had Whistler and
Mhm.
Blade, but
Yeah.
Whistler looked way younger, and then you have the Wesley Snipes movies with Christopher Christopherson and Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes. So he's where Whistler's way older. So I could see them that would be your support. That's the only supporting cast you would have. It's just him, and then audience surrogate, and then you move on from there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
And,
but they're probably trying to be a bit more, inclusive and woke. So they're trying to.
But that's the thing.
The vampires woke.
But my thing with it is, when we say woke, what do they mean? Because Blade's a black vampire. I don't understand.
What else do you need?
Yeah, what are you adding to?
Yeah, but you know how the
kid. What else
internet
do you
is.
want?
You know how cancel culture is now. It's like.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean-
do think that Hollywood is taking it a bit too far, in the sense that I feel like they feel like every single thing they do now has to have XYZ.
And
Has
that's
to
not-
have
They have to hit
every letter of the
Sure.
alphabet.
Right. And
not every movie is a rainbow.
I know, but I think that's their issue right now. I think
I
they're
feel-
struggling with that.
I feel like they could have done it. You just kind of flip it the other way. You make the proper I Am Legend movie, but with Blade, and you
But
make all
also-
the vampires talk about this weird dude that's killing them. and you
Fantastic
see
take.
Blade just
Fantastic,
seeing
fantastic
the
take.
monster that's coming to get
I
them.
would watch that take
I would.
because you essentially get to tell the story very much a la I Am Legend, and you get to, if you don't want to center Blade, which I still don't understand why you wouldn't want to do
Yeah.
that, you could do it from the perspective of the vampires who have been
Right.
doing their thing, but
survived, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I feel like the vampires in Marvel Comics, if you stay true to the comic book, they're kind of under the radar. They're not trying to take over the world. I mean, they're doing that story now. Recently,
Yeah.
there was a major crossover story. For those of you who know, for those of you who don't know, Marvel has been writing this crazy, really intense story where half the characters are vampires. Miles is a vampire.
Mhm.
Everybody's
It's Marvel zombies, but with vampires.
Exactly. So they've done that
Jubilee,
story.
right?
recently. I was sorry.
Yeah.
Jubilee, right?
Yeah,
Is a part of that.
Jubilee's a vampire too. I think she is cured at some point, but maybe even in this story she goes back. Who knows? I haven't read it. It didn't seem interesting. I've been reading the Ultimate stuff. I'll talk about that in a second. But with that said, telling us a story from that perspective of, the boogeyman of Blade and then you flip it. Fucking fantastic, Joss. Why are we not making that movie?
I don't know.
Vampire. It would have to be something called something other than Blade still, though.
Blade Legend,
Like
Blade,
the Vampire's Curse, Blade.
but but name it whatever you want. But you know why? One of the reasons that doing that way would work really well, because you want Blade to shine in what's the other movie they're gonna do with the Black Knight that they want to do?
That was supposed to be Blade.
Yeah.
I know he's supposed to show up, but what's the specific group? Midnight Sun?
Midnight Suns, yeah.
Right. If they want to do Midnight Sun, take advantage. You know how we
Daywalkers? Or
No, it's not Daywalkers. I think it's Midnight Sun.
It's Midnight Suns because also Moon Knight goes into it and whatnot, which would make sense because
Jaws, I'm gonna take your alley-oop and I'm gonna try and dunk it. Let's see if I can land. Take what you're saying. So you know how the MCU focused on the main characters in all of their movies before putting them together in the Avengers? What if you flip that and because specifically these characters live in the shadows and are darker stories, you don't focus on them specifically, you focus on the darkness of the stories they're in. So you focus on Blade taking care of the vampires from almost a slightly more vampire view. You focus on the Black Knight and the possible corruption of the Blade, but more from the perspective of who's being affected by it. And Moon Knight already got his series where he's a completely broken person, multiple personalities, and he doesn't need a movie. But at that point, you have all these three, and then they meet up in their Avengers movie where they're now the focus because they've caused so much with everyone that everyone starts working together to go after them, and they have to join forces. And now you have from their perspective where they were trying to save everyone, they were doing what they thought was right, and dealing with Moon Knight's broken mental health and whoever else you want to throw in. And that to me, I don't know. I know Wolverine shows up, but I don't think he stays.
He's not a staple character.
Anyways,
it's
just.
But I also feel like I don't want to say they ruined it because he's still a great actor. But who's the actor who's supposed to play him? I can never.
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, him. He's like he was on such a high when you guys booked him as Blade, and I'm wondering if kind of the reason why they're doing maybe this is from their crappy potential executive perspective. Maybe they're like, we waited too long, and now he's. What he was bringing to the table, which was namesake, maybe to them they're like, oh, it's fizzled now. Because he hasn't. Not this again. Not. I think he's a fantastic actor. He's done a lot of stuff. I think he's really great in everything that he's done. And him as Cottonmouth and Luke Cage is like really under.
Yes, he's fantastic. He's fantastic in that.
Downplayed. Like he did a great job. But in there, I'm like, he has to be pissed too to a certain degree. He's been committed to this. He's probably been like on a like.
I would say he's very angry. Very angry.
He probably couldn't take jobs because of this. He's like, well, they might call me tomorrow. Like, you know,
Jesus.
Because if he really, because for all we know, he's really passionate about being Blade. Maybe he likes, like, maybe his favorite actor when he was growing up was Wesley Snipes. And he's like, yeah.
I mean, he was
James Earl Jones.
Yeah, he was probably aware though that it was a bit like rocky. Like, I'm sure they were told things were on hold or whatever. Like, I don't think it was as smooth as just you're casted and now I can get a call in a day. Like, I feel like they were probably aware of the situation. I don't know.
I just think it's bonkers.
I'm tired of it.
It's bonkers.
I know a lot of people are also really upset because it's the two major film projects that we're going to star Black leads. Speaking of Black Hollywood.
That's true.
That's the thing that really, because Don Cheadle's Armor Wars was, it was supposed to be a series. It was going to be a series at one point, and then they bumped it up to film. So everyone was just like, oh, they're putting trust in Don Cheadle's character. You're going to have a Black Captain America. You're going to have a Black Iron Man. You're going to have Blade. Everyone was just like, oh, snap, they're doing it. And then all of a sudden now we're at a point where the Black Captain America is going to already have a character that people are very upset about. What's her name? The Israeli superhero Saber, that people are already discussing their concerns about that character in the film. And with everything that's going on in the geopolitical sphere, God only knows how that's going to affect the movie. Then you have, which and people have been saying it almost feels like Marvel did that on purpose, because now that you have a Black Captain America, you're going to put in a character that you know is going to tick people off, so that the movie does what? Bad numbers, because people are going to start boycotting and complaining.
Oh my God,
I'm really confused with their decisions.
No,
ever
since. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Go on this.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Because I was going to say, ever since Endgame, man, ever since Endgame, it's been a wobbly ship. And and I feel it's like if you were like, oh, it's like, oh, we did all this work, yeah, that'll do, and you're like, no, like you still need to make quality. If you give quality for 20 odd films, you can't then turn around and then cookie cutter everything and call it like phone it in. Be Tom Cruise, he never phones it in.
Well, I kind of feel like that happened only because they're like, okay, now watch all of our TV shows.
Yes.
But what about your TV show on ABC? You shut your mouth about that show.
What about
your shows on Netflix? Shit.
Can we address the elephant in the room that with the pandemic they panicked and put so much into the TV shows
100%.
that when it came to planning the next phases in the film universe, they lost their minds.
I think they lost direction as soon as that happened. It kind of, I mean, I think Endgame was such a high for them.
Such a high.
That they were on this high horse that like they felt like nothing they did could like
untouchable.
Kill them. They felt untouchable. They were like, we're undefeated. Like we could just keep this high going. But then the pandemic happened, which obviously disrupted so much of their projects. And then I feel like you said, I think they just panicked and then they started coming out with all this like rushed work and like
also like the writer's strike, right?
Yes, writer's strike.
Oh yeah, the writer's strike.
Actor strike.
True.
Like the pandemic, the writer's strike, and actor strike.
Everything hit them all at once.
Everything hit, and don't get me wrong.
Back to back.
Yeah, and we mentioned it earlier, Chadwick passing, because
that messes up a lot.
We know that we all know that Chadwick had the charisma, or as the kids are saying, Riz, to.
I don't think that's used right.
No, it is. It's literally charisma.
I know it's charisma, but I thought it was in context of hitting on somebody.
Not only that's how it used to be. It's already evolved to being guys.
But it's kind of the same. Yeah, it's kind of the same.
You're talking to the guy that actually watches Skibbity Toilet here. Okay,
I love when that you watch every 3 episodes. You say that
I've been watching. Hey, because we got to stay informed.
He likes toilets.
In 5 years,
Riz is just a smooth talker.
Wrong.
I told my mom she had
Ohio Riz
20 times in a row, and she just started to cry. What you doing, Uncle?
Oh man. Anyways,
but for sure, Chad was supposed to take over the leadership. Like I feel
100%.
I feel they were banking a lot on that. The only thing. And like he was super strong
with good reason.
Yeah,
they put all their eggs in one basket.
But he had the same kind of energy as Robert Downey. 100%. Like he has that leadership quality.
For sure. He had the potential to go really far with Marvel. But I'm just saying they didn't have a plan B. That was their plan B.
But you're not.
That was their plan A, B, and C.
You know, say it. Well, say it.
You're never expecting your lead to die.
No, I know.
If anything,
but my point is like if anything happened, let's say he didn't pass away and something just happened with him in production, or like he decided I want out. Like
what if he decided to stop being an actor?
Exactly. Like there could have been so many situations where why didn't you guys have a plan B? Like
guys, we know what would happen if he decided to stop being an actor.
They would have sued him.
No, not even
Disney style.
How much money did they give Robert to continue? $100 million for these new movies.
They backed a dump truck of money to my house.
Exactly.
I didn't say now.
If Chadwick, if in this alternate timeline that I wish we lived in, where Chadwick steps away because he's just like, I've done it, I don't need to do it anymore, and not because we lost him, the trucks that they would have backed up to this man's house to be like, come on in.
That's how untouchable they felt with him. Like it just I mean, in their defense though, he did not advise of his sickness.
Right.
He probably signed a long-term deal with them and didn't say anything about his sickness, right?
Like, oh God.
So they did not expect, they probably thought, wow, this guy's gonna come up with 5 great movies in the next 5 years.
He's on set sick and he's like, I ain't no snitch, just
and meanwhile he knows he's just riding the wave because he knows
he said on one of the red carpets
that he was sick.
One of the red carpets, he literally said, he's like, oh, the girl, I remember some blonde girls asking him like, how do you feel about the future and this and that, how you feel about like Batman? He's like, oh, I'm dead. So he's like, and
but he was.
Oh no, but that
was
was in context. That was in context.
Yeah, he wasn't talking
You're
about
asking
himself.
like, so do you come back?
That's
in,
not the same thing.
Endgame.
That's not Dave.
I don't care. That was
Dave.
that was
Context
his way.
was, but
I'm
he just
being
hits
honest,
differently
that was his way to
now.
do it guilt free.
No,
that was his way.
Dave,
Like fuck y'all.
No,
You're
I
saying
don't
this.
think so.
No, I get what you're trying to lean at, but I'm not going to play into the idea that he said I plan to die. No.
Yeah, no.
Not my
No,
problem.
he wasn't doing that. That's not what he was doing.
Think
he genuinely thought he was going to beat it. He told his wife that. He told Ryan. He wrote he was reading the script from Ryan Coogler. Where I'm not going to tell people, yeah, my character's dead.
And he had it for a few years. He was already doing treatments. He seemed fine. He looked fine. So I think he thought
he was 100%. He was planning. He put the work in, and he was hoping that he was going to be able to beat it. And this
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I will say this: where they failed in that pivot, Chad did such a good job of like stationing that character to be strong on his own.
Yeah, man, Chadwick had it.
It would have pissed people off temporarily, but I feel in the long run, had they just properly waited and just recasted him,
I still think they can recast him.
I think that's the way to do it because
I think it was weird that they decided to introduce the kid in Wakanda Forever. I think they should have recast
him.
I
think the story was still going to be about him. That kid was still going to show up in that movie.
Sure.
From what I heard in the original,
I'm down.
And he's going to find out.
He was going to find out he had a kid in the original script.
But you know what they're going to do, right? They're obviously going to make him
age him up. Yeah.
Yeah,
the kid.
They're going to age him up. They're going to make him
step through a portal or something.
Yes, which I find annoying because you could have just replaced, instead of just keeping the king of Wakanda, you're writing a story where he dies, which we understand. You're paying tribute to Chadwick, and then he had a son that he didn't know about, who has the same name as him, who's going to be the new Black Panther once he's of age.
And the king.
But I think that kind of screws up the story you kind of have in the sense of, hey, Black Panther 1, hey, we abandoned a child and the child came back to kill us all. And take over the throne. And now you're like, oh, I didn't know I have a kid. It's like, dude.
Well, he didn't know. I mean, that's different though.
Dude.
That's different.
I know it's different, but it's like you're trying it's a tricky story to write.
I mean, Ryan could write it because he didn't know. Lupita takes the kid and doesn't tell him. That's not there's a difference between an absentee father or an entire nation abandoning it, leaving a kid in Oakland. That's
the king straight up
the king
going
abandoned
to Oakland
to Oakland. But that's the thing. The story we would have had with Chadwick is Lupita would know that once Wakanda goes public, that the nation is a target. Which is funny because that makes the story even more interesting. She was the one that rallied the hardest for them to go public. They now go public. He's the figurehead of the nation. They're public. He's at risk. She doesn't want to bring the kid around because the kid would be at risk being the heir to the throne and would be in danger. That to me is a very interesting story, but I understand
I feel it's not a story that Coogler would want to tell. Usually when he has his stories, they're very personal and he's speaking from something really meaningful.
Yeah, but that's personal.
But isn't part of the story that he was going to have the kid and you weren't going to know, he wasn't going to know he had the kid? That's the original script.
Yeah, but it was also T'Challa kind of dealing with the loss of it. There's other stuff going on. Right. Dealing with the loss of his dad, and I found about this cousin, and my dad didn't do him. His my
definitely
family.
A lot of processing loss for I could see that. Which ended up still happening. We still got a movie that was about.
I mean, again, that's the cast and him and everybody processing that loss.
Yeah, and they're obviously going to make also his sister an important
Letitia.
Role, for sure. Yeah.
I wonder if she's.
I think.
Say what? Sorry.
What's her name in the movie again? Zuri.
Shuri. Yeah. Shuri.
Is she even coming back? Didn't she have some type of problem or something?
Well, she had.
Someone had a problem.
There was rumors about their relationship with her on set, but.
Yes, I heard about that.
But I'm more wondering what happens next because now that he's passed, and they knew they needed to make a sequel, but I don't think Marvel thinks Letitia Wright can lead the franchise on her own.
I don't think she can either, though.
Right. I was being polite, but yes, I agree. I don't think she's.
I thought they would have done like her and Iron Heart and like
oh yeah
and the general.
Yeah,
but
but
then you're pivoting from movies. You're not going to continue with films then, because I don't expect them to.
I can see her having an important role in the Black Panther series, but not being the starring,
right?
Like not leading it. I think she's not strong enough to lead it.
No.
I'm just wondering, who do you, if you continue doing Black Panther movies, who do you put in charge then? Do you, this is why I want to recast.
You know who would have been a good recast? Denzel's son would have been a good recast.
John David?
Ooh,
if you would have been interested to do it.
Oh, interesting. You think he's too old for the role?
No, I said he's canceled.
John David?
What do you do?
John David? Aren't you talking about Jonathan Majors?
No. He said Denzel's son. John.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking of Jonathan Majors.
No. First of all, he was cast. He's already in the Marvel. He got kicked out. No.
Yeah. Kang.
I know.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
No, sorry. I was thinking of someone else, but he could be interesting actually.
I know.
I was in Tenet.
Yeah.
He's very good in Tenet.
He is good in Tenet.
Yeah.
I was gonna say though that it would be interesting. I mean, if they use, sorry, I'm all over the place. But if they use Michael B. Jordan in a different, I know that that's why I'm hesitant to say this because I'm like,
you know what?
You put a mustache on him, or you take the mustache off, and you're like, it's
but
another guy.
I do feel though that he was an important anchor in Black Panther.
You're not wrong. Jonathan B. Majors from an alternate the Killmonger from an alternate reality
where he's not a douche
from variants, because we already introduced it. You can have variants.
It's very true.
So you could have
Michael B. Jordan, like the nice Killmonger from Universe 5000.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, because I think I do think he played he did well in Black Panther.
He did,
and they could use him to further it for sure.
And he does have the charisma.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
I feel that's
right.
Yeah.
I feel that's a little bit disappointing. You have to go back to the well that works.
RDJ,
like everyone's already like, "Hey,
that's why I was hesitant. That's why I was hesitant to say it because I was like, I don't want to be that person.
RDJ, bro.
They're bringing back Robert Downey Jr. to play Doom. Come on, they're already going to the well.
This is the easy one, right? He goes to it would have been the easiest thing to write because you would say, "I'm taking this guy from an alternate universe where." It wasn't Killmonger. It was the opposite brother that was king.
Jaws, they're literally
right.
Jaws,
like that would have been super simple.
I like that Jaws is disappointed in this, and they're literally doing it with Robert Downey Jr.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, okay, but I'm saying like before we're like, oh, they're doing this with Robert Downey Jr. Come on, we want Doom. We don't want alternate Doom. Like, come on.
Or instead of doing an alternate Black Panther, they can make it that because he died, Killmonger can become good.
Yeah.
And make him like a good guy, and then he kind of takes over, and then ends up training Black Panther's son, and
I'm just saying there could have been
like a family affair.
Could be another actor. Like, I mean, we didn't deplete.
But I think Michael B. Jordan was. I think he's good in it. I think he's really good in it.
No, he was great.
I'm not saying he's not.
I think he did great as Killmonger.
Mm-hmm.
It could be interesting to see him in a different light.
Right. And I think what Ness is hitting on that helps is if you have a situation, like it's a very specific situation. I'm not saying do this if you still had Chadwick. I'm not saying do this because you don't want to replace Chadwick. I'm saying do this because you need to rebuild trust in the IP. And the trust wasn't lost because the movie was bad. The trust was unfortunately lost in the sense that everyone was just hurt by the loss of Chadwick.
Right.
So they all went into that movie giving it a chance, knowing full well they don't necessarily think it's as good, because we even said that in the podcast. I re-listened to it when I played it that week. We all said the same thing. The movie's not like based on what the movie is. For what the quickness they had to turn it over, all the things they had to do to make this film work in the time frame they had, we all gave it a lot of lead. Yeah. They got a lot of leeway with what was going to be on the screen. And I don't remember which one of us said, but someone said they almost preferred it more. I don't remember if it was one of us or if it's Skinny, but I'm not sure. So it's like, well, if some people prefer it, because there are people who even like Wakanda Forever more than Black Panther, which I'm not there, but
I was about to say I'm not.
I'm pretty sure it's Skinny if I'm not mistaken. But
since no one's jumping the gun, let's just say it's Skinny.
I was like, I don't remember saying that.
Throw him on
I do like the surprise reveal. She goes into the planes and she's like, "Wait a minute." Like, yeah, you too mad. You can't go see the ancestors. You too mad. No, you go over here. You go see this guy over here.
Yeah.
A woman, no, you go get to see the guy you hate. Like, you know, like
all this to say, the vision over at Marvel is very interesting. We even still have other Marvel news. Speaking of people returning, James Spader is returning as Ultron for Marvel's Vision series, which was already people were kind of like, oh, that's crazy. And then Marvel's Nova series, which is expected, is supposedly going to be a blend of Star Trek and Battlestar Galactica. Which for some of us sci-fi fans, I don't know what this guy's being weird.
I just don't like Nova.
Oh, that's fair.
I don't mind. I don't mind sci-fi.
Neither does James.
We're past the time. Go fuck yourself, Nova.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, F-bomb.
I said we're past the time. We're 20 minutes in. I'm allowed.
I mean,
Green Lanterns, but better.
Oh.
Come at
me! Don't hurt me. Pew pew pew.
Kill a watch any day of the week, my friend. Come at me.
Jaws knew exactly how to get it, Dave.
Come at me any day of the week.
All-star Batman painting the whole room yellow.
That was beautiful. We did have one piece of news that we wanted to add on. Also, Masters of the Universe, Alison Brie nabs key villain roles of Evil Lynn in Amazon's He-Man movie. By the way, when we say Amazon He-Man movie, no theatrical release? It's just going to be straight to streaming? Does anyone know?
I don't know. I guess it's MGM or something like that.
I guess.
Has Amazon ever made a movie before? Or is this their first movie?
Yeah.
No, they've had...
No, they have movies.
Oh, is it always...
I'm asking. You're saying, have they had theatrical releases? They have had some movies that were theatrical and some that
Roadhouse.
That's what I'm asking.
Okay.
Because
they have.
Roadhouse came out in 30th for like a little bit, and then
they've done both.
Yeah.
Well, remember they bought MGM, so they've had some MGM projects that were.
I feel like they would have to make it a theatrical release if it was a good He-Man, which means that they have to get what's that guy's name?
I don't know.
The guy who did the wrestling movie recently. He has his jaw all messed up. Zac Efron.
Zac Efron.
If they don't get Zac Efron to be He-Man in that movie, you have missed.
No, I think He-Man was somebody else.
He
missed the boat
because
completely.
Everyone says he looks so much like Prince Adam as He-Man.
Because he got jacked.
He's super jacked. He had
Iron Claw.
He had the haircut.
It was ridiculous. I wish you could find the photo right now. It is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay.
Especially with the new version, like the
Kevin Smith
animated one.
Yeah.
You put that picture and the picture that I'm talking about beside each other, and you're crying about how
You're so right though.
It is. It's so
and he's built.
He is built.
Like
I just don't know if Zac Efron wants to play He-Man.
Yeah,
that's where the bucks of money come in.
Oh boy,
I feel like it's not his cup of tea.
Yeah, that's my thing. I'm more
I feel like he's a little too cool for that. You know,
he just finished Iron Claw. He's gonna go back to He-Man. I mean, I don't even know how they're gonna play this He-Man though.
Iron Claw may have got him in an Oscar nomination, but did it really fill up his bank?
Wait, did he?
Iron Claw was a great movie.
Did he get an Oscar nod?
Didn't he? Didn't that movie get an Oscar nod? If that movie didn't get him an Oscar nod, for sure he wants bank.
Actually,
I think it was Oscar Bates, but I don't think it got any nods, guys. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it.
And I remember saying at the time when the trailer came out, and everyone got mad at me that I was just like, "This Oscar Beatty bullshit needs to stop." And then it didn't get any nods.
No, it didn't.
Nope, I told y'all. And anyways, I don't want to be that guy. I'll be nice. It is what it is.
Look, that guy's done a lot of things from A to Z. That would actually be something cool to add to his movie repertoire.
Yeah, but I don't think it's his style. Like he
already did the silly.
Are you trying to compare Baywatch He-Man to Baywatch?
Yeah, wait.
By the standards of the movie industry, an IP that has a general appeal and is kind of satirical, yes. That's more what I was.
But this is like nerdy, like geek culture.
That's what I was meaning.
Sure,
and I don't think Zac Efron would be interested. I don't want to judge the guy because I don't know him personally.
Well, he's done Neighbors. He's already done his comedic stuff.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like based off the roles he's done, I don't think he would do this type of role.
I'm with you, Ness.
But what I'm saying is, with what I've seen him do in the last few years, he's tried very hard to get himself away from High School Musical over the last few years.
Yes,
right?
I think he's done it.
Yeah, that's
true.
He
has.
Definitely done.
Yeah,
but
easily.
But I feel with what I've seen, he's starting to go a little Nick Cage in the sense that he wants to try all the pieces of the pies.
But this,
and that'd be a cool piece. Hey, look, I'm just saying.
I'm not saying it wouldn't.
I'm saying
it would probably do it.
No support.
I'm not saying
not a He-Man fan.
Actually, let me change
my You're a wannabe.
Excuse me. I have a bunch of He-Man figures. King Grayskull. All that's right there.
My
so
words.
don't hate on me.
I'm not saying he can't, and I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm saying he wouldn't.
I'm saying he shouldn't. There we go.
I'm saying both of you stop putting that out in the universe. Zach, go do your job.
Zach,
some roles are beyond your
Come
needs.
on, Dave.
Zach,
he's definitely too cool for school type of person.
Yeah,
I don't think he's.
Don't listen to these.
You know what, Zach?
One of us. No.
Think about it, Dave. Think about it. All of the roles he's played is like he's the likable character, or even if he's not the likable character, he still plays this like cool, mysterious guy that's like.
That's what Adam is.
Well, no, that's what.
But this is still different.
That's what He-Man is. That's not what Prince Adam is. Prince Adam has anxiety and is weak and scared of everything. Well, not scared of everything,
right, Zach.
but
you're right. Zach, you have no range. Let's use reverse psychology. You have nothing, Zach.
That's not what I said.
I like this world where Zac Efron is listening to this podcast and is like, you know what? This He-Man movie that's already in production, I'm gonna fight like hell to replace the lead.
For him to go on some show where he wins an award and he's like, "Fuck you, Dave." Like, I'm down with this universe.
It's just so funny, the idea that he's gonna like turn around and be like, "Hey, MGM, yeah, I think you got to replace your He-Man," and then he just sends pictures of himself flexing his peg. Random.
It would
love
work.
it. I love it. So funny.
All jokes aside, he was great in Iron Claw.
Respect. Yeah. What else do we got, folks? What else we got? Speaking of, I can go real quick. I did talk about Hollywood Black, which I highly recommend people watch if they have a chance. I've been watching Chaos on Netflix, which is a series set in a modern world where the gods exist. And it's like, the classic mythology, but it's like modern era, almost. It's funny. The first episode reminded me of Romeo and Juliet by Baz Luhrmann. Is that who directed it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The aesthetic is kind of like Miami Pink, and the gods on high kind of look like it, they're not talking in that way, but the aesthetic felt kind of like, let's cross modern with this kind of classic story.
I don't like Baz Luhrmann.
Yeah, no. I mean, just the aesthetic, just the look, not the performances, not the energy, but just that kind of look. Okay. And funny enough, it's only the first episode, because after that, the tone changes, in my opinion, quite a bit. Now, one thing that I do have to say, if you are a fan of Greek mythology like I am and know a lot of the stories, the show might not be as exciting, because I was really hoping that it was going to be a show that was about new stories set in a modern world. Instead, they are retelling multiple classic stories in a modern world. Yeah. So if you know those stories, you already know how they end, and you're kind of like, oh, I know who this is, and this is, and this is, and this is, and like, I know where this is going and that's going. So there's no surprises for me.
There's no twists.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, unless they change the story, there's no twist.
Sounds like it's not.
No.
It's still good. It sounds like it's not a fun watch.
I still enjoy watching it. I still do enjoy watching it. It's just that if you are a fan of Greek mythology and you know where the stories are going, you won't get the added bonus of like, oh, what happens next? Because this character ends up doing this with this character, and that's why this happens to this person. And like, as it's all happening, I'm like, okay. Now, it is cool to see them change it. It's cool to see some characters be very different from how they are. But you're still, Zeus is still Zeus, Hera is still Hera. Hades is, unfortunately, everyone depicts Hades a lot weaker in these modern stories than he's depicted in ancient myth, and I feel that's kind of unfortunate. They like pulled the teeth out of the wolf. Like, dude's like a little punk, essentially. That's very disappointing to me, to see Hades like that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not about that Hades life, but it's just, if you're gonna have these three gods and they're supposed to be the gods of their own domain, like, Zeus in the sky, Poseidon on earth, and Hades in the underworld, and they're all supposed to be somewhat equally challenged. The only reason Zeus won is because he was the one that survived. Then cool. But instead, we're getting kind of like Zeus is everyone's big daddy who can tell everyone to do what he wants. And then Hades is like, I'm not scared of you, Zeus, and then gets up. And you're like, oh, okay. This is not the Hades I know from the stories, because Hades has his helmet and does a whole bunch of cool shit. So it is what it is. But check it out. Medusa's really cool too.
But it
I like how they switch her up.
sounds like they pay homage to their
100%.
Unlike the Crow.
Uh-oh.
Now I'm going to lean into this a little
bit.
It is. So let's talk about what was good about the Crow. So the Crow is a cool title. Now, let's talk about how shit this movie was.
Dave's going on a Brian rant.
Oh, no.
It is by far the worst movie I have watched in over a decade.
Yeah.
Wow.
In over a fucking
No way.
I've been looking forward to this concept of this movie because the movie is supposed to be really simple. It's legit John Wick, but the guy can't die. That's what it is, and that's what it is. So, first mistake of the movie. Okay, the only reference to the comic book and/or the initial movie. There's a sentence at the beginning. I forget exactly what it is, but it's a reference about like it's their phrase to describe how love is for this guy. Right? They say that right out of the movie. So it's like the guy's like, okay, cool, we're done. We can now do whatever we want. Second, what I give everyone here one guess of what do you think is the first animal that you see in a movie called The Crow?
Cat. Black cat.
The Crow.
A dying white horse. Which the guy who becomes the Crow?
Is that supposed to be metaphorical?
You see him run.
Yeah, I'm confused.
No. The movie starts
on a white.
You're wondering what's going on. Horse. There's a dying horse in a barbed wire thing. A kid runs up to it. He's trying to help the horse out. The mom is somewhere being druggy. That's 3 minutes of the movie. Pan away from that kid. That kid it's not like you see that kid and you see him older. That kid's gone now. All right. You then see a girl, his ultimate love interest. She looks like a hooker. She looks like a druggie, which is none of these things in the original story in any shape or form. And FYI, just 2 seconds. The original story is the concept that there was a guy who was in love with a girl. They're about to get married. Because they're about to get married, the girl in the comic book, it's slightly different, but I'll reference the movie because more people know the movie than the comic book. But they're about to get married. There's some gangster stuff going on in their building. Gangsters come and kill that girl. He arrives on the scene and they brutally murder him too after he watches them brutally murder his soon-to-be wife.
Right.
So people have been together for years and years and years. There's undying love right there, and then it's died because they get brutally murdered, right?
Right.
So back to this shit movie. So next, you get introduced to this girl who clearly looks like she has some type of drug problem, and it's insinuated. You find out later that she's not a prostitute, but at this point in time, you're like, this girl just looks like a druggy prostitute. She's running away because someone tells her, oh, they found the video. You're like, what fucking video? So it literally looks like as if a girl went prostituting, saw something she wasn't supposed to, videotaped it by accident, and whatever, right? She gets caught by cops. While she's getting chased by a guy discreetly, she bumps into cops and openly shows that she has cocaine, and then she goes to rehab. Who do you find Who do you find at rehab? A guy who's looking at his hands that are cut up from barbed wire, i.e. the kid that you saw at the beginning of the movie, right?
And you're supposed to get all of that.
And you're supposed to get all this, right? And this guy is shown to be in the rehab center that she's going to soon arrive at. Who he's not talking to anybody. They're poking fun at him and like practically shooting stuff at him. You like talk. No. You see him going to like a group setting. No, doesn't want to talk. She arrives 5 minutes later. He's talking to her.
Quick question. This is Skarsgård's character.
Yeah.
Again, but like I was saying recently, this is the same thing. Like he was a mute in the other movie where he's like going on a vengeance kick. I don't understand why.
Oh no, this is like one of those things. She arrives, they look, they smile. He's sitting alone at lunch, and she's like, "How's it going?" He's like, "Hi," and you're like, "What?" I don't believe.
Yeah, I don't believe this. They didn't build to the.
And let's also make this clear. It feels like it's been like 3 days since she's been arrested. Okay,
but it's probably been longer.
No. Like there is no concept of the passage of time. No growing of hair, no one looking at anything. The guy literally in one scene is go find her, and the next scene is they found her at the rehab. Like 30 seconds later. Sorry. So they do that. They're talking. Their interactions are depicted as if they've maybe seen each other for a week. She's probably been a week at this rehab or so. Like you see her arrive, they see each other at lunch, they see each other in the movie theater at this rehab. She then sees him in his cell because they're just allowed to walk around in rehab and do whatever the hell they want at all times. That's a whole other thing. She sees these people walk in because they're finding her. She's like, oh no, these people. He brings her downstairs into the basement and opens a window, and this is the way you can escape. In 2 seconds. So this guy's known how to get out the whole time. Then when he gets her to get out of the window, he's like, I'm coming too. She's like, why are you coming with me? Like she's asking like as if you don't even fucking know me. Why are you doing this? He's like, I'm rehabilitated. FYI, one fact, this entire movie dialogue is this bad. If you think I'm saying like, oh, I'm not summing it. That's what he's saying. It is the worst written dialogue movie I've ever seen.
I wonder, did it get hit by the writer's strike? Like, was it in production? So. I'll look it up.
I remember this movie. It was like start, stop. Okay, we got an actor. We don't have the actor. We got an actor. We don't like everyone.
Oh,
like,
they lost their actors.
Remember how Blade was? This it was the exact
maybe this is the reason why they're not making Blade. But they then get to the city, right, where she's like, I'm gonna go to my friend's house. She says, I'm going to my friend's house who sometimes lets me live there. This girl has been depicted as poor, looking like a prostitute. They go into like a mansion style type condo. Like rich ass people live here. And why on earth are they giving you this free thing that you get? And then now all of a sudden they all have sorts of drugs and all these things that they're doing. It's been depicted like by the time they've known each other, at best, it's been 3 months. And in that 3 months, they've escaped rehab. They've fallen in love, which, by the way, the chemistry between these two people, none. The worst date I've ever had in my life, I had more chemistry with that girl than these two have had on screen.
Oh shit.
And I've had a lot of bad dates before I met my bang ass wife. But anyways, they then go to his pad, which honestly is like a $5,000 a month pad. How do you have this by being in rehab your entire life? I don't know. And the only thing that you see before they go to his pad, they were at some bar and someone went up to them and said, yo, you have to leave. They're going to find you. They go and they brutally murder these two people in front of each other. Again, 3 months. Why after 3 months? Even, you know what? You want to give them 6 months? Cool. You want to give them even a year? Cool. These two do not love each other. There is no sense of connection between these two people. And you're not getting married. Even the girl asks him to his face, have you ever loved? He doesn't say he loves her. And then they get killed. And he's like, well, now the crow is bringing you back to life to like save this girl's soul, specifically soul. You need to emphasize that. Then,
so just the whole story doesn't sound like it's a love-based thing. It sounds like he just wants to save her.
He just wants to save her. Okay. But the crow is all about
the because he loves her.
Well, that's the thing. In the movie, they're trying to convey love, but there's no believable. Like, if your friend met. You guys all
I get it.
You guys saw I Hit Your Mother? Remember when he says he loves her the first date? It's not believable that you love this person you just fucking met.
The movie doesn't establish the reasons for them to be in love. They're just...
And like, they're both coming out of rehab. They look like two junkies who are still junkies. The whole time that they're out of rehab, they're doing drugs. Oh, by the way. They're going to parties, doing drugs, or drinking. They're not getting clean. They're not doing anything. They're doing all the bad habits that would have brought them into rehab.
It's like a toxic love.
Completely toxic.
And also, when you're in AA and stuff like that, in the first year, they tell you don't date anyone.
Yeah.
You have to find yourself. So if they're both in a rehab together, they haven't even been out yet. I can imagine
they're obviously going to relapse.
Yeah. If anything, what they might be depicting is that they have a toxic love.
You are reaching so hard.
I am reaching. I'll admit. I'm just saying, based on my understanding of like rehab and AA, you're not supposed to get into relationships because the addiction gets replaced by you're addicted to this person.
Right. And you become codependent.
Right. So if they become addicted and codependent after a short period of time, then that could be mistaken for why he is so
Right.
So reaching still, but yes.
So this guy dies.
Sounds
so
like it though.
They get killed, right? And they're deemed that their love is pure and unquestionable, right? Throughout the movie, you find out the protagonist is clearly possessed from some demon. FYI, the Crow has nothing to do with demonic anything.
Right.
Normal people brutally murder this guy's wife and him. He comes back alive to kill the normal people. You find out that the video that is being done, right, is that this guy, who's apparently centuries old, which also doesn't make any sense because there's no mysticism other than this guy saying I've lived for thousands of years or hundreds of years. And he goes to people and like whispers something for them to do, and they do something like horrible, like kill somebody or something like that.
But they don't explain that? Like he doesn't have a special power? Or
you see it once, you're like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I made a deal with the devil. You're like, oh, you want to elaborate on that? Nope.
I think I'll say this. I think the reason they did that is because if they're if they're creating a world in which this guy can't die, right? Because that's the whole thing. The Crow.
Yeah. You could just
you're
there's
gonna
a devil and there's a hell.
Right. You want to introduce the idea that if he can't die, there's other people that have made deals or other things. It just sounds like they didn't like set the table.
Didn't explain it.
Right.
Yeah.
They didn't set anything. But the thing is this, right? The guy the guy who's the Crow has been told multiple times there's a bad guy. That bad guy is possessed. He can tell people something and they'll do it. He watches, he finally finds the video in question that got this girl in trouble, which is, it's very blatant. Guy walks the girl, whispers something in her ear.
You're talking about Eric, who's the Crow, and Shelly, who is FK Twig's character.
Oh, and by the way, for people who are wondering if this is like a spoiler alert, it's not a spoiler alert. It's an Amber Alert. Don't go see this movie.
Shit.
Do not go see this movie.
Said Amber Alert.
Oh, Dave hates it.
I'm giving you all the I'm giving you all the
reasons. Are we talking about the Amber Alert movie now?
Like it's horrible.
Dave.
So then
Dave's like, they kidnapped my childhood.
100% sold.
He's so mad.
Oh my goodness. God.
So he watches this movie, this like video where the girl brutally kills somebody, but like all the things that everyone's told him to do, and then that film, he's like, yeah, man, I don't know if I love her anymore. And then he gets shot by a shotgun, goes into the place. He's like, why am I dead? He's like, well, you said you didn't love her. Like legit, the guy's like, you just said you questioned your love because of the stupid video. He's like, I'll exchange my soul for hers now. And you're like, what the frick is going on? Like
I was on the table. That's doable now.
So he does love her.
Well, that's it. Yep. All right. The only detective work. So in the other films, the Crow is depicted as something who could give him information. If a crow flies somewhere and sees something, the guy's supposed to see it.
Yeah, Eric.
The guy was supposed to grow. That doesn't happen. The only time you ever see crows like really helping him is he's walking in an area and you see crows. You ever see a movie where there's like you're supposed to follow the dust? He's walking around. We see the dust, but he's not even looking at the crow. Like he's not doing nothing is happening. The only detective work that this guy does after he wakes up for the first time, when he wakes up, brutally murders someone in front of him because the guy tries to kill him. He's like, oh shit, I can't die. He's walking down the street disgruntled after getting a gun from some random friend, or like some sick shooter. He's walking down the street. There's a guy parked in a car. One of the guys who killed him, who's blatantly missing an eye. No eye patch. Like he's missing an eye. His eyelid is like just droopy. You can see there's no eye there. He looks out of his window. He's like, I killed you a week ago. He's like, you did, or didn't you? And goes into the car behind him, asks him one question, and brutally just shoots him. No information is given. He asks the question before the guy could answer. He kills him. That is as much information as he gets, and he still manages to find all the people who brutally murdered him for no, like they're just like walking out of stores, and they're like, "Oh, it's you." He's like, "It is you, and I'm going to kill you now."
I'm just wondering what happened to Bill that these are the roles he's taking, because this is a rough.
But here's the thing, right? I was describing this to Brian before. I am the least pickiest person when it comes to like an action film. I bought once DMX's Never Die Alone just because there's a cool ass shotgun kill in that film. Like back when we had to buy DVDs to watch things. See?
Just this for movie, one shotgun kill, a whole ass movie.
I mean,
and it's a fucked up movie. It's a fucked up movie. There's certain scenes in that movie I actually want to forget because it's actually very fucked up and a little bit disturbing. But this movie is so bad. First of all, the only action really happens in the last bit of the movie, and it's so bad and so why as a person are you coming near this person? So for example, there's one opera scene where he's killing a bunch of people. He also gets his hands on a samurai sword randomly. He knows how to use that samurai sword very efficiently. He's randomly
using it wrong and it should be broken. But
of course.
Someone while fighting him, someone gets it from him and impales him like from the back forward. He then proceeds to kill 5 people with the samurai sword in his chest
by just hugging them.
Basically,
I knew it.
Like pinning them on the ground and like putting the first one was like, he got the guy pinned on the ground.
So dumb.
And like put his.
Is the action at least good? Because it seems
no, I'm trying to describe you how bad it is.
Oh, the action's bad.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah,
he literally pushes the guy down and like scoots up his chest and pushes the blade into his eye. Now, semi okay, right? But like, there's 4 other people who get killed by the same knife that's protruding through his chest. I'm sorry, guy number 1, cool. I get that you died. Guy number 2, oh, you thought that was lucky. You're gonna get by. Guy number 3, cool. 4 and 5, I'd be like, just the bad guy's there. The boss is there. Like, guy impaled. I'm not going near you. You've brutally murdered 3 people in front of me with a sword through your chest. Why am I getting involved?
But hey man, henchmen need to put in the work or their insurance plan doesn't pay out to their families.
Their mandate. Exactly.
if you're the boss and you survive, this boss survives and that one henchman didn't do his job, guess what? That insurance policy not paying out to your family. The wife, the kid, poor.
Listen, I'll just put it this way. I'll sum up because I know I want to give time for people who want. I'll put it this way. The last time I wanted to walk out of a movie was X-Men Last Stand. Because by the time they killed Professor X, I'm like, I'm out. The only reason why I didn't walk out of this movie is because I was hoping there would be something. It was disappointment after disappointment.
Damn.
No references to the original Crow, minus like when he went into limbo, there was like the guy that he's supposed to meet in limbo, but he never addresses anything or anything like that. At the end of the movie, he's supposed to save her soul. When he dies at the end of the movie and kills everybody, he dies and she comes back to life. That's not how it works. 1, 2, with how it's depicted, it honestly looks like they both had a drug overdose and she survived, which makes it look like none of this actually happened. This is it's his trip while he's dying.
Jacob's ladder type story.
Yeah, it's stupid.
You're joking.
This movie, so first of all, my friend I went to go see it with, he loves the anime, like the comic book and the movie. He gave it a 0.5. I said on 10, I'm like, I could give it a 1. He asked me, give me the reason why. He wanted to argue with me 0.5. He didn't
out of 10.
Out of 10. He didn't speak for 5 minutes. I spoke, and by the time I was done talking, I'm like, yeah, it's a 0.5.
Ooh.
The movie is literally the guy this is the elevator pitch. Yeah. Hey, boss, we want to make this movie the Crow. Oh, is there a background? Yeah, okay, cool. Well, is there any source material? Here's this comic book. That's gonna take too long to read. Okay, well, there's this movie that's like an hour and a half. Oh, that's really long. There's a back to the manga. No, that's too long. There's a back to the DVD. Okay. No. Well, I don't like 90% of what's written here, but the Crow and this guy's name is cool. Let's put that in the movie.
Oh, damn. Okay, well, that is
you for making this movie.
That's bad.
I gotta say, I'm worried for Bill Skarsgård.
It sucks because he's a great actor.
Yeah, and this is
if his face is painted and he's a clown and can't talk. Yeah, don't talk.
Oof. Okay, it's funny because the other movie, Boy Kills World, he can't talk.
Yeah,
and then in The Crow, he doesn't talk.
Stepped out of his realm, bro.
And then in It's Pennywise,
maybe he's challenging himself.
Yeah,
he's challenging something.
Damn, you know what? I want to see him do V for Vendetta. Then he wears a mask and he does talk, but he has the mask on the whole time. Let's do that. Let's bring that comic book back, guys. That's pretty much. We actually don't have much time left in the show, but
no. I just realized He talks in it.
I never saw it. I was just assuming that since he was a crazy clown, he didn't talk much.
I mean, he doesn't talk a whole lot, but he does talk.
Does he talk in a normal voice?
No, Pennywise.
So then that's the reason why I was successful.
Do you?
He was good. Hey, he was really good, actually.
Do you have Prince Albert in a can? Then you better let him out then.
Oh my God. That is fantastic.
I'm hopeful. I'm still hopeful.
It makes me happy because I'm usually the one that rags on a movie hard. And just to know that some of y'all are also haters.
Yeah.
Hate.
Hate.
Hey, man, we're here. We're here, and we're hateful.
All of your guts. Hate every last one of you and your guts.
100%.
Wild. Yeah, guys, it's always a blast. I know we didn't get through everything, but we'll be back with more. Is there anything you guys want to tell the people? Any info? I mean, Ness, how did super quick? How did your first fitness dance class thing go?
Oh, it was good.
Yeah, okay,
it was really fun. We were a small group, which was great because the studio space was actually a lot smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But yeah, it was fun.
I saw you post a picture.
Good turnout.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm hoping to continue like weekly starting in October.
If I didn't have bad knees, I'd be there. I'd be cutting a rug, as the kids say.
I only had one.
Now you know why he's 41.
There was only one guy, but it was nice to have.
I've also seen your videos where you're like doing your workout dance, and you're young, so you're moving way faster than I feel I will be able to keep up with.
It's cardio based. It's
Ryan's
really
like,
cardio
where's the
based.
line dance?
Yeah. I want to two-step like an uncle in the back. Yeah. That's
hey, there's some two-step in there.
Yeah. Slow cat daddy two-step in, or because I know you say
hey, it's a fitness class.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. That's the whole point.
It's cardio based.
Yeah,
so the point is to get you like out of breath.
She's essentially saying she's gonna try and give me a heart attack. Y'all, you heard her. She said it on air. Crazy lady. But yeah, people stay tuned. We'll definitely have more information about the next one in October. Fingers crossed. Jaws, you want to tell the people what's up?
Check out Transformers Slag and the Toy Armada podcast with Aaron Archer on YouTube.
Bong. And guys, hopefully you got to watch us on GeekCypha.com. If you're on YouTube or on Twitch, we appreciate you guys watching and wherever we're doing the show. And we'll be back with another one next week. The Dumbest Timeline Series 2, 6 episodes are out. As I mentioned at the top of the show, I had to take some time off because of some stuff that's going on, but there's going to be 6 more episodes in the series. But if you guys want to check them out, and if you're especially if you work in the music industry, I highly recommend checking out episode 4 and 5, because I talked to someone who works in the music industry who's trying to come up with ideas on how we can still work in the music industry even though AI is pushing in. And I think his take is very important. So if you guys have a chance, check those out. That's the whole show. We're out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.